What's up, guys? Welcome back to News HL. It is finally time. It's here. The NHL Stanley Cup playoffs is here. The bracket challenge, and I'll be showing you my bracket challenge and who will win the Stanley Cup and who will win these series. So, there's a lot of good one. Rangers, Capitals. I'm excited for that one. Really, all the Eastern Conference matchups, all of these. I'm so happy to see them. And yeah, I'll be predicting who will win the Stanley Cup. First, we're going to go on the Western Conference. So the first series is Dallas and Vegas. Now, it was a very surprising season for Vegas. They just won the Stanley Cup and were the best team in the Western Conference last year. But this year, they weren't the same team. They just barely made the playoffs and came in as a second wild card team. Their leading scorers Jonathan Marchessault and Jason Robertson for Dallas. Now, Dallas is very good this year. They are the best team in Western Conference this year, and I really think Dallas is a very good team. They went to the final conference finals last year, and Vegas actually beat them, so it can be a bit of a revenge for Dallas. Now Vegas are very good in the playoffs, and they've I think made playoffs every season except I believe 2021. But it was a good season for both of them this year, but I do think Dallas will win this one. I think Dallas just have the edge in how they play and their play style this year. I just overall think they can beat Vegas. Next, we got Winnipeg and Colorado. Another great season for Winnipeg. Mark Sheffield, I can't say his name, was 72 points. And then you have Nathan McKinnon with 138 points for the Avalanche. Avalanche are a very good team. And although they're third in the division, I think Colorado actually beats Winnipeg by far. I think Winnipeg are a great team. And they just got tired fully off the free agency or trade deadline, not free agency, sorry. But I just don't think Winnipeg has that chance to beat Colorado. I mean, Colorado is such a great team with Nathan McKinnon. I mean, it's a very good team, and I see them very tough to beat. Next, you have Vancouver and Nashville, and I think it's safe to say we know Vancouver's gonna win it. And the reason why I'm gonna say is because they looked very, very well this season. Vancouver 50, 22, and 9. I mean, a different season, a very different season from last year, and they were very good. And JT with 103 points. Vancouver looked a very good team this year, and against Nashville, I don't think Nashville really stands a chance. Vancouver is a great team, and Nashville, I'm happy for them they made playoffs, but I just think Vancouver is easily going to win this game. Next, you have Edmonton and LA, another Edmonton LA Kings series. I believe this happened three times in a row. This happened this year in the first round, 2022 in the first round, and 2021 the first round. So, yeah, this is another good matchup. Edmonton and the Kings. Edmonton have the guy Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and Zach Heim. I don't know his name, but he they're a good team. Edmonton are such a good offensive team. Their power plays great, goals per game. They're such that offensive team. Very slow start, one of the worst teams in the league in the beginning, but slowly came back. And I think Edmonton will win it again. And yeah, this is the matchup: Dallas versus Colorado and Vancouver versus Edmonton. Now, these games don't really matter how many games they'll win it. I personally think Dallas Vegas will take up the 6 games. I think Vegas will fight, but I don't think they'll win. Avalanche and Winnipeg. I think it'll also go to 6 games. It's gonna be another close one, but Avalanche will win it. Vancouver Predators. I think Vancouver will win 5. I think Predators will win one, but it's not enough to win the series. And Edmonton Kings. Again, I think we'll go to 6 games. I don't think any of them will go to 7 games. I don't think it's that tough of a matchup. Now we're going to the Eastern Conference. Now we have Florida versus Tampa. Now Florida has made the Stanley Cup final last year as a second wildcard team. Really shocked a lot of people when they beat Boston as the best team ever that we've seen. And Florida, I believe, still have that playoff momentum. They looked very good this season. Have a decent goals per game, less goals against per game. Sam Reinhart had a great season when it came to goal scoring. Power play wasn't the best, but penalty kills looked pretty even. Tampa, on the other hand, have Nikita Kucherov, 144 points. I believe the point leader of the season. He looked very well. 100 assists, 44 goals. Unbelievable scene for Kucherov. I think he will do good in this series. However, I think Florida will edge them out and win this game, win the series. Next, you have Boston, Toronto, and I think this series everybody wants to watch. Boston, Toronto have been in the playoffs a lot against each other. Toronto finally wins the first round last season, But Toronto are just not that team in the playoffs. I just don't think they'll win it. Boston is such a team that when it comes to playoffs, they are good and they know how to do it. Brad Marchand, he might be a rat, but he knows what he's doing in the playoffs. So I believe Boston is going through and beating Toronto again in the first round. Rangers and Capitals now. This is an interesting one because I think a lot of people expect Rangers to just win this by far. I mean, they won the President's Trophy this season, but I think Capitals will give it a hard fight. Rangers and Capitals are 2-2 against each other, and every time the Capitals play against the Rangers, they give them a good fight. So it's not going to be an easy one for Rangers. I think everyone's going to overlook this, but it's a tough one. I really do. Rangers Cap. I mean, it's a tough. I'm still debating on this right now because Rangers are such a good team. I mean, you have players like Adam Fox, Artemi Panarin, Zibanejad, Chris Kreider, all those great players on the team. But the Capitals are still in that team where they can shock a few people. I mean, I know Rangers have 15 wins over the Capitals, but it can be a very tough series for Rangers. And usually Rangers do make a tough series for themselves when they're in the playoffs. Last year they played against the Devils, and they were expected to win it. They got many players like Patrick Kane, Tarasenko, and they didn't hold up in the playoffs last year. So it's going to be a very tough one. Ovechkin, so the Capitals, Ovechkin wants to have another cup. I don't think it's possible, but I do think the Rangers will win. However, it's going to be a very tough series for them. It'll be very hard fought, but the Rangers will win the series. Next, you have Carolina and Islanders. Now, again, we've seen this before, and Islanders just made the playoffs. I mean, 16 overtime losses, 39 less than 40 wins. So Islanders, Hurricanes had over 13 wins over. But Islanders had a late comeback. I mean, the third spot for Metropolitan was the Flyers, and they did come back, and the Islanders now took over. So it looks great for the Islanders, and it's another tough series, but I do think Carolina will win this one. Again, Islanders, I'm sorry. I like that team a lot, but I don't think they'll win. When it comes to games, Florida and Tampa will go to 6 games. I think 6 games will be very popular this season. This playoff season. So I think we'll go 6 games. I think it will also go to 6 games. Rangers and Capitals, I actually do see going to 7 games. I think that's gonna be a very tough one. It's gonna be a tough loss for the Capitals, but I think that's gonna happen. And again, I think it's gonna be 6 games. I think it's gonna be a last 6 game series in this playoffs. Now we are going to the conference semifinals. We have Dallas and Colorado and Vancouver and Edmonton. We'll go over Dallas and Colorado. A great matchup. It's very hyped. I would love to see this if this does happen. Oh yeah, before we go on, all this could happen. These are all upsets that could happen. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if any of this happens. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I mean, you can look back in this video and comment I was wrong. But yeah, let's go over Dallas, Colorado. Two great teams again. Dallas is looking good, and Colorado. I mean, they're both such good teams. It's a tough one. I mean, that's really tough. Look at the analysis; they're pretty much even on everything. So it's a tough one to decide. I don't know. I'm still debating, but overlooking Dallas and Colorado, I can't think I have to pass on this one. I may have to go on this one first, but these are two very good matchups. But I think Dallas will go to the semi-conference finals. I think they will. Dallas made it last year against Vegas, and Vegas aren't the same team. Dallas almost came back against Vegas last year, but I think we're going to the conference finals again and doing try to make the Stanley Cup final. Next, we have Vancouver and Edmonton, and honestly, I think this is matchup of the playoffs. If this does happen, two very good teams playing against each other, two very offensive teams. And if this does happen, I think a lot of goals are going to happen. I think a ton of goals will happen, at least 4 goals from each side. I see this happening a lot. McDavid and Johnson are going to link up. And you got JT Miller and Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes with a ton of assists this year. I don't know how many he has, but a ton of assists. And this is going to be a good one. I want to see this happen so bad. Vancouver, Edmonton. Edmonton usually do struggle when they make the playoffs. And Vancouver, I mean, I think I have Vancouver winning this one. It's gonna be a tough one for Edmonton to swallow, but I think Vancouver will win this one. And yeah, Dallas, Vancouver for the conference final. Now, this final, I would love to see two top one, both first in the division, both very good teams, all basically even splits right here. But Vancouver and Dallas Stars, I think Vancouver, other than new to the playoffs, I think they can edge the Dallas out. I think what Vancouver will do will shock them. I think they'll shock Dallas, and I think they'll go to the Stanley Cup final. I think on the Western Conference, Vancouver will make it, and that will shock a lot of people. But I think I really do have them. A lot of people have Edmonton, but I think Vancouver will go through. Last year, I had Edmonton and Boston, and you see how that went. I was clearly wrong, but I think Vancouver will go on. Edmonton has failed me a lot of times when it comes to playoffs, and I think Vancouver is going to go straight to the Western Conference. Is going to win the Western Conference and go to the Stanley Cup final. Now we go on to the Eastern Conference. We have Florida and Boston, the rematch of last year in the first round. Boston were the best team we've ever seen last year, and Florida was able to win in 7 games. And Florida are a much better team this year, and relatively, I think they're even better. Sam Reinhart looked much better, and they have David Pasta, who well, a goal scorer he is, but Boston are a much worse team. Florida are a much better team. And last year, Florida beat them in 7 games when Boston were at their best. And Boston has lose some players, and I just don't see Boston winning. I think Florida is going to the Stanley Cup conference final again, and playing against one of these two teams. And that is the Rangers in Carolina. And Rangers Carolina, a very good series. I would like to watch this again. Rangers looking very good this season, same as Carolina. Both very close to being first in their division, 104 to 111. Again, almost an even split. Now, again, like I said, Rangers are not as good when it comes to playoffs time. If they do make it, they usually lose in the conference final in the second round, and I think because of that, Rangers don't look that good in the playoffs. They're a little bit shaky, and when they do have the lead, they kind of break it, like what happened to Devils and Rangers last year. They had a 2-0 lead and ended up losing the series 4-3. So I think Carolina will go through. It's gonna be a tough one again for the Rangers. I think this will go to 7 games, and I think this 7 game series will gas the Rangers out a little bit, while Carolina has to go to 6 games and get that extra day of break. I think that does a lot for them, and I think Carolina and Rangers it's gonna be a good matchup. But I think Carolina's gonna win it, which gives a Florida Carolina series now. It's a tough one. This is a very tough one, and I can't really see the difference here. They're like the same color, but again, same amount of points, almost same amount of goals per game. I mean, Florida is a much better all-rounded team. Yes, Sam. Again, this is tough, and this is gonna go down to the edge, and this is going to 7 games. Both teams are very good players. I mean, Carolina has great stars like Gunsu. They just received from the trade deadline from Pittsburgh. Sebastian Aho, Snevchikov, and Kuznetsov, who they also received. Seth Jarvis, and many other players that helped this team out. But Florida also have a very good players as well. Tkachuk, Reinhardt, and Borowski as their goalie, and Barkov as his center, and receiving Tarasenko and Verhage, who's been a great player last year in the playoffs. It's gonna be a good one, and I think Florida will win this game and will go to the Stanley Cup final, which will be Vancouver and Florida. The Stanley Cup final we've all been waiting for, Vancouver and Florida. This is probably one of the toughest matchups I've ever tried to make. Vancouver, last time they made Stanley Cup, I believe it was in 2011 against Boston, and they lost that one. But again, it was a tough loss for Vancouver in that Stanley Cup final. And yeah, Canadian team hasn't won it in 31 years, and this could be the season where they win it. Many Canadian teams like Edmonton, Vancouver, and Winnipeg have all made the playoffs this year and look good. And Toronto in the Eastern Conference, but don't see Toronto winning it. But four Canadian teams are in it, and they could win the cup this year. Vancouver is one of them. But you got Florida, who are experienced from last year. They play against one of the best Vegas teams we've seen, probably the best Vegas team we've seen since their since coming into the league. But Vancouver had that. I mean, Florida had that experience from last year and know what to do and to make the final. And that is an edge that Florida has. However, Vancouver have that players that they need. They have Demko as a goalie who has been remarkable this year. Elias Pettersson and Quinn Hughes, very good link up with Quinn Hughes as a very good offensive defenseman. And you even have Lindholm and Brock Boeser and JT Miller, who are all great players on this team that know how to control this team to the cup. This will be a very tough matchup. I am slightly biased because I am an Eastern Conference type of fans, but I would love to see a Canadian team win. I would love to see Vancouver win. However, I don't see that happening. And the Cup champions, in my opinion, are the Florida Panthers. I believe they are the Cup champions in this year's draft. I think Florida will win it all. This is my complete bracket that I have. If you want to see it, this is my complete bracket right here. Very good season, I think, I believe. I just wish Dell was around here because I am a fan of Devils. But yeah, I mean, what a season. I think Florida will win it. If Vancouver wins it, good for them. I'm not supposed to. I mean, this is a prediction, so I may not be right. I'm probably not going to be right. It's impossible to get all these picks right. But yeah, anything can happen. I always root for the underdog. But this is, if I had to choose, this is what was going to happen. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy this video and just enjoy the playoffs. Today is the first game. I believe the Islanders and Carolina game is today because today is Saturday. So I think that's going to be the first game of the playoffs. So, but yeah, just hope you enjoy it. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Just comment down below. If you think I'm wrong but won the series, just comment down below and I will look at it. And yeah, this is it. And sorry for that. This is it. And yeah, hope you enjoy. Stanley Cup final. Stanley Cup champions, Florida Panthers.